now, my friend.
Hi, welcome everybody to this week's edition of Forged Men. My name is Nick Alderson. Please remember to press that like and subscribe button. I'm joined today by my friends Mark Phillips and Jason Riley. And at this point, I'll hand myself over to Jason for our this week's topic.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. And again, I love the fact that I told you I struggle with the professional podcast, whatever, versus the real guys. I've got to let that professional stuff go because I get caught up in my head, hyperventilate, paper bag it. So I love it. Great kickoff, Nick. Thanks. So week six topic again. Love it, man. The identity shift, becoming the man you were created to be. So what we're trying to do here is tie everything together. So we talked about comfort. Comfort kills more dreams than anything else. So staying in that comfort zone, not expanding yourself, not growing, not expanding, not increasing your knowledge base, friend group, etc. So becoming the man you were created to be. Mark, how are you today, sir?
I'm fantastic. Thanks. It's been a roller coaster week and I'm excited.
It has, it has. So I'll kind of kick us off, and again, we're going to kind of have bullet points. But the video I posted myself to the Forge Men page yesterday was about the drift being real, and it all ties together because there's not a lot of things in life that are laid out singularly. It all ties together. I mean, it's life. It what makes us who we are. Hopes, dreams, aspirations, fulfillment, friends, brotherhood, struggles, successes, whatever the case may be. And the drift hit me this week. I'm not going to go over my whole video, but I had all the intentions to post multiple videos this week and didn't do one until Tuesday, and it hit me. And the drift hit because it was the I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it later, and it changes. So one of the things I did last night is dig out a couple of things that a good friend gave to me a while ago. And I'm going to tell you that one of them is going to have an impression of what it might be for, and it's not. So here are the two things. So Nick, you may know these as well. I don't know. I don't know your relationship with Mark or when it was, but one is a pocketbook guide to for a message to Garcia by Albert Hubbard. And these were given to me by Mark. There's no impression about this one. This one is not for what you think. And if it's what you think, then you need to join Men's Forged cohort so we get you back on track. But this is a small mirror to place at your work computer. So when you walk out every morning, you look in it and you tell yourself that you're King Kong. Because you have to be the guy that looks in that mirror and knows that you are the best person you can be for yourself. And even with failures, struggles, drift, you are King Kong. You are the master of your own destiny, and you have to control that. So these gifts were from Mark. We don't script these. I don't tell him what I'm going to bring out. He had no idea I was going to bring these out. Mark, if you would tell me how these two came into your life, why, what they mean to you, why you gave them to me.
Well, the Message to Garcia is a book I read hundreds of times. It's a great quick read to put you back on focus. You can read it in 20 minutes in a setting, and even somebody with a short attention span like me can read it, real quick. And it's about just getting it done. I write down on the top of every notepad 80/20 and a cross and a level sign on it to remind me that how I'm supposed to treat people, meet everybody on the level, and to also remind me that it's up to me to make it happen. That's where the book came in. I've given out hundreds of them. I've lost my ability to buy that little orange one because I can't find them anywhere else. But you did send me a place I can buy them and download it.
Mm.
So I'm going to start using the downloaded version of it. It's a great book, and it's about a small percentage of people that really make it happen.
It is. And I think it's worth sharing. So I'm taking a note myself. So in our posting with YouTube. So again, thank you, Nick. Like, subscribe. We're growing our subscribers. Let's please keep growing if you like the content. We're posting weekly and then throughout the week as well. I'll put a link to the YouTube reading of The Message of Garcia. Again, very, very short listen, very impactful, very powerful. Great, great thoughts. What about the mirror?
I'm a child of the '80s, so Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror. It's just a reminder. When I got out of the Air Force, I worked for service merchandise for a while. So you probably have to be 45 plus to even remember who service merchandise is. But I worked 3 months out of the year in a call center for them because their busy season was the Christmas season, and they had a mirror on every desk. And at the bottom of it, it said, "Can the customer see your smile?"
Mm.
or hear your smile, I think it said. So it's just a reminder that to look at who's responsible every day and to remind yourself. I mean, I don't remember exactly how the scripture goes, but God said that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. He counts the hairs on my head. So I was made with intention. God has a design for my life. I will never reach the potential He gave me, but I need to strive for that.
That's powerful, and that's that comparison is the thief of joy. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. There's always gonna be somebody faster, stronger, thinner, taller, shorter, whatever, richer. Be the best you can be, and look at that man in the mirror. And I'm gonna pick up on that service merchandise. So you and I chatted. You told me about that a month or two ago,
Yeah.
and I don't know if you remember. My eyes just lit up. I was like, oh, it was the conveyor belt in the middle of the store that came down. You saw your packages coming down. Service merchandise was a very very cool thing. But you shared that book with me and the mirror, and those two things that I keep close. You keep yours on your desk. I do not. I probably should for a constant reminder. Nick, did he share those with you in the past?
He shared with me in some sales meetings some motivational tips that I took very, very seriously. I'm thrilled that we have this topic today because I don't like bullies. So when I came here, I had a lot of them, and I kind of looked around in 2017 and went, why do I have so many bullies? I mean, my dad sold a company. I'm not a partner in it. I'm out here cold calling and doing roof sales. And why do all these people that were, once partners of mine seem to be bullying me all the time? So one day I decided on a walk with God that I was going to take what my boss was saying seriously in these sales meetings. And Mark was my boss at that time. And he had mentioned in the he had shown a motivational video that basically the theme of this video was use the people that are talking negatively about you as motivation or your reason to go to work. Better way of putting it, I think, with Mark. And so I really took that to heart, and I went home and I took blank pieces of paper, probably 20 of them, and I wrote down all of the negative things that these people had said to my face.
Wow.
And I woke up every single day, and before I got the refrigerator, I got into my refrigerator, I read, "You're just not good enough for this business, and it will never happen for you." And there are days, believe it or not, when you're doing automotive F&I, finance and insurance for Mark Phillips, that you don't feel like going to work that day. And I assure you that when I take the people, I didn't have much knowledge when I was rebuilding my life 10 years ago on how to rebuild a life. I had been to the therapist and everything like that. And I had done that enough to the point where I was like, man, I really need to put some stuff into action. But at the same time, finding that motivation amongst depression, isolation, wilderness period, finding a relationship with your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and then also pursuing a woman to find anybody that will be in your life really at that time. That's where it starts, and that's where the process started for me. But I really, in order to surge into that new life that we're talking about, and to get away from that drift, I really needed to use that motivation of, if God has called me to this life and has given me purpose in this life, then why did He give me so many bullies? And once I started looking at that and taking that into perspective, I started going, man, there's got to be a real special reason why this is happening. So I just kept going and going and going.
I love that, man. That's again
Oh,
the personal stories we share here. Again, those listening, I know Mark very well. I know most of his life as he does mine. Nick and I have known each other for 3 weeks now, so these are all new stories for me. But my takeaways there are, first off, I'm glad they had the courage to say it to your face, because all too often people say it behind your back and not to your face. So at least you knew what
amen.
your criticisms were. And then, I think the Lord puts us in ways that we don't necessarily know why we're there. So there's different fuels, and there's 87, 89, 93 different cars. There's ethanol, there's diesel. There's different fuels, and I think I'm a car guy, so that's where my head goes, right? So there's different fuels that'll fuel that engine to make it go. So the fuel that was put in your life was that criticism that you
Mhm.
can't do it. And okay, watch. So I'm glad you internalize that as the positive fuel. And again, as far as the takeaways, like putting that in front of you daily before you went in your fridge. I don't know if you put it on your fridge or it was just a mission that you said, I'm going to read this before I go to the fridge or whatever, but have a process in there to keep it in front of you daily to avoid that drift, which again is again my thought for the week because of my experience this past week and my drift that I experienced. The fact that you kept it there and present and fueled yourself and found some success in doing it is all really, really cool and powerful. So appreciate you sharing that.
Really strong, Nick. That's good stuff.
Yep.
Well, thank you.
And you proved them all wrong.
But Jason is right. Look, I was blessed in my upbringing in that I got to be around some of the brightest minds and the most brilliant people ever in income development in any space for any business. And that's a blessing. And it's even more of a blessing to have people say things to your face because you're giving me something to work with. If
Mm.
I don't know my weaknesses, I can't become a better boxer. And I would prefer to stop learning my lessons by getting hit in the face by better boxers. So when people open you up to that kind of criticism, it ultimately helps and it can be a driving force. So God uses everything for those that he has chosen for a good reason, and even your trials and tribulations. So
That's
you got to thank him for it.
that's amazing. And again, I like the relation stuff. And again, the fact that non-scripted, whatever, we're gonna have bullet points for these conversations to keep us off task because my mind wanders. I can half the time I can't even finish a sentence. Mark knows that very well. What was my thought? Not to be brought back, so I keep bullet points. Um, but the relation piece, you'd rather be fit in the face to learn your lesson. Well, I think there's a Mike Tyson quote that disagree with that. Everybody's a hero or a rock star until they get hit in the face. But then again, I don't know that you boxed Mike Tyson. So,
Thank God, no.
but again, the whether it be a hater or a constructive criticism, to actually hear that and know what your weaknesses are. Yes, tell me what I'm doing wrong. And that's what I say with everything we put out there with all of the Forgeman stuff. We're again, we're going through our first cohort now. Again, we've turned it over to a peer group, and we did that as when we go with content for a charge, we want to provide the best value there. So my words and Mark's words to our cohort, poke holes, give me the criticism, tear it apart. Don't be afraid. I want that criticism because you can't grow if you're not fixing those, plugging those holes, filling those weak points, things like that. So again, awesome, awesome, awesome stuff. I love how it's all tying together. So, as far as like bullet points, why behavior follows identity. And again, so our thing is identity shift, becoming the man you were created to be. So we talked about comfort zones, pushing yourself out. We're talking about now taking criticisms or whatever to learn and grow. Why behavior follows identity. Any thoughts from either gentlemen on that?
Well, our behavior does create our identity.
Mm.
We live through it. Our mind tells us whether we're drifting and doing something we shouldn't be doing or we're on task, right? That becomes your identity. That self-talk, just like Nick looking at that list every day and reading it to himself, you know, and the challenge to overcome that, that is so important. We don't realize how much self-talk affects the outcomes of our life. It's negative self-talk more than anything. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference in reality and BS. So you got to get rid of the BS and you got to tell yourself you're King Kong or Superman or whoever it is you want to be, Captain America or just, um, whoever that guy is, you have to tell yourself you're already there so you can get there. You have to, I mean, one of my favorite comedians, non-PG, says you need more haters, that's their job. Don't hate on them for let them do their job. If you got 22 haters, by the end of the day, you need to find 24 so you can have more.
Is that
Uh,
the guy with initials BB, that comedian by chance?
Yep. But I think I think you got to guard that self-talk, and there's so many ways you can do it. You can do it in Bible scriptures. You can do it in motivational books, videos. There's just a ton out there that you can have access to. And when you run across something that works for you, please share it with us.
Yeah. I love that. And you said behavior creates identity. I think it actually goes both ways because your behaviors do create your identity. And the
Hmm.
same space, if you have an identity in your head, that will create your behaviors. If you think you are less than, or if you think you are better than, and that's not a being better than somebody else, but if you believe and you know that you are King Kong, you view the world differently. And I thank you for challenging me. And I'll say challenging me because it was the constructive criticism of a true friend. I'm about as sarcastic as they come. I like to have fun. I joke. I love memes. Again, sometimes PG, sometimes not, referencing the comedian. But the joking, you pointed out to me a couple months ago, the subconscious. Don't say that. Again, I don't react. I think because I've learned not to react. I want to internalize it. I want to digest it, chew on it.
Right.
And yes, I'm telling myself that I'm less than. It's a joke. It meant nothing, but you're 100% correct, and I've corrected that. So I
Good for
appreciate that.
you. That's great. I've noticed.
Appreciate that. Nick, thoughts on the behavior identity topic?
And so absolutely. When I decided to really fix my life in 2017 and come out here to Chicago, I told myself, number one, this is all stewarded by Jesus. I understand that now. And then number two, what would Rocky do? If you've never seen the Rocky movies, the one thing that I understood when I got here to Chicago in 2017 is that I'm a fighter. And I needed to become somebody professionally that the people that I seeked in business would like. And that took some time. It took some Nick time before I got back to real work where there was a W-2 involved and I had a cool title and suit and tie. And I knew that if I just started with Jesus and boxing when I got here and became somebody in the time that I was taking off to work on myself, if I had free time, I was in the boxing gym. And I promised myself I wasn't going to leave the boxing gym until some trainer came up to me, some authority in boxing, and went, "You should be boxing somewhere." And after about a year or so, that happened. And at that time, I had become somebody so mentally strong, I couldn't fathom. It was as if all the time, all the extracurricular activity I took for therapy with people that had opinions, when I wanted to secretly or sincerely seek help, I didn't care if you were a liberal Democrat, if you were a conservative Republican. I didn't care if you're Christian, Muslim. I didn't care if you were obsessed with dogs. If you could help me in any way and get me on the straightened path, I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to gather your opinion and I wanted to move forward. And after a process like that, I understood that I was a hardworking individual with a hustler and a boxer's mentality. And if I could bring Jesus Christ first with the truth with that, my goodness, I'd be unstoppable because then people would really like me because no offense, is some of the time in business, the truth gets lost before the profit. And if you could put the foundational truth back there, I really think a lot of people would follow. So, you know, I really wanted to get back to my roots and what my father started me with, which was Jesus Christ and boxing at a young age. I had a very innovative father. However, he was not a genius in most ways, like I am not a genius. But when it came to foundationally teaching his son about the good habits in life that would help you persevere through tough times, he is very good at that at the beginning of my life. So when I got to the toughest point of my life and I needed to persevere out of my career, because everybody, if you love your job, you're going to have a rough time for a few years in it. It's just kind of the way God works. And I
Yep.
was in that time. And my goodness, those lessons and that foundation really came to the forefront of my identity and what I have now. And that really started with the opportunity that Mark Phillips gave me at McGrath, Honda, and Elgin, giving me a job that I'm not that good at and giving me the space to breathe and allow me to come back to God and my love for the industry and probably giving me a couple months longer than I should have. So thank you, Mark.
Hey, Nick, tell us a little bit about your sweatshirt. You keep mentioning boxing. Tell us about I see the word jab.
Yeah, I am very blessed to box on a farm in Naperville in an industrial center, and right there in that industrial center, there's a truck service station, so it keeps me very motivated for work too, as I have the opportunity to work with trucking fleets and everything. but it's a special place. The owner's name is Joe Casano, and he's a brilliant trainer, and it's the coolest group. I've had the opportunity and blessed to be a part of a couple of the gyms in California with DEA boxing, and here in Chicago with Ricos and Displays. And this place really stands out because of the community that's around it. We're always doing farming together or playing poker together and having pizza and hanging out after boxing. And it's a real cool team camaraderie. And it gives me the ability to eat as much pizza and chicken wings as I want. uh, and my doctor goes, what is it that you're doing to reverse your type 2 diabetes? I got type 2 diabetes from drinking, and I was able to reverse that in the last 5 years. And it's in large part due to boxing and Joe Casano's diet, along with Christina Basilev monitoring everything. It's really nice when you have a woman in your life that wants to keep you around for longer.
Amen.
Sorry,
That's that partnership, man. I like it.
I...
No, and the brotherhood and community is so cool. So cool graphics and logo too. So no, that's awesome. Again, the community and again the brotherhood, and just the family of the boxing, all that kind of stuff. So super cool stuff. So can I get like an Adrian?
Abs
You said what would Rocky do? I see steps, Philadelphia, raw eggs, and Adrian. That's what I see when you say Rocky.
Hey, you know what? I love to go on jogs in the early morning and do my Drago at
Yeah,
the top of the mountain.
better.
So some of my enemies have had my Drago at the top of the mountain. So
Yeah.
you hopefully you know that, yeah, you are in my head, but you don't want that anymore.
Again, that's
So
fuel. That's fuel. As long as I think it's a gray sweatsuit, right? That he climbed the steps on. So haven't seen that in a long time, but no, great movie. And again, dedication, perseverance, the culture, the plug, as far as the drive, the constant motivation, and then the brotherhood around the boxing community, the diet, the reversal, again, all amazing things. Really cool stuff. So kind of tying into the behavior and identity components, how limiting beliefs sabotage growth. And that's going to kind of go in with the topic the last couple of weeks, that comfort has killed more dreams. But we mentioned a couple books, and we're going to talk about all those things. And the one that came up was Tribe of Millionaires and limiting beliefs. It's that could go along with your friend group. I forgot the reference Fred who said it, but it was show me your friends and I'll tell you how you're going to wind up.
Yep.
You are going to be a product of who you hang out with. And they say as you climb the ladder successfully, your friend group becomes smaller. And then there's a rap song that says, "Trust me, it ain't lonely at the top." You're gonna have fans, you're gonna have haters, you're gonna have people that want to be around you, you're gonna have people that want to use your money, your connections, your plugs, all that kind of stuff. And you're gonna have true friends that stick around. But your true friends will get a little bit more sparse because they have to be like-minded, the same success, the same dedication, the same path, the same framework of getting up at 4 o'clock and doing the things that people don't see. People see the Ferrari and the Lamborghini. They don't see the guy who risks, or the guy or gal that risked everything years ago to start a business, put the hours and hours in the commitment to actually get to the Ferrari and Lamborghini to see that. So the limiting behaviors, if you don't take that shot, you're not going to hit it. I think Jordan missed 10,000 shots in his career, something like that. But we don't talk about that. It's talked about now, I guess, as just a business lesson. But we talk about those, the Jays he hit from inside the three to win the championship. If you don't take that shot, he wanted the rock. He wanted the ball. Like he didn't pass it off, right? It was Jordan. He didn't give it to Pippen to shoot the shot. He was shooting that shot. So he didn't think small. He thought big. He was an amazing guy. I'm going to say he's the GOAT. Didn't flop like they do now. But the limiting beliefs sabotage growth. And if you do have that small mind and that behavior identity thing, if you think small, you're going to be small. You have to expand that horizon. And again, Mark, I think we both, Nick and I, keep giving kudos to you because you've been that influence in our life, and your humility will reject it and say we've done more for you than you've done for us. But I think you pushed both of us out of our comfort zones enough, out of our own thinking. You have brought that Rich Dad Poor Dad philosophy, another great book, into my world where I didn't know it before, and you've created that larger thought process, and it kind of changes your perspective and all that stuff. So, limiting beliefs, sabotaging growth. Gentlemen, any thoughts on that?
Go ahead, Nick.
Limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on that. You
Floor is
know,
yours, buddy.
I I grew up with limited beliefs, unfortunately. I grew up, there's a family dynamic that I don't think gets talked about enough. I love my mom and dad. I am grateful for the life that they gave me and my upbringing. Despite that, I was the black sheep of my family and very much put in that particular category, especially from a divorced family. And it especially reiterated by a nightmare of a stepmother that no Disney movie could comprehend. But what I had was was limiting beliefs because when I came back home, there was, hey, I became the captain of defense and I'm the middle linebacker and I'm in Southern California. I'm watching people like Mark Sanchez play on TV that I had to play high school football against as a middle linebacker. That wasn't easy. I'm not saying I didn't lose to them, but at the same time, when you constantly are kind of getting compared to golden childs and everybody else and you can't do anything right, what it develops is a wonderful person for business income development because I'm always striving for the principal's approval. But you don't realize that while you're being built in the process and why what God is doing there. And what I really, really think that is a blessed opportunity with this particular podcast is that over time, this will reach more and more people. And there will be younger people who are in similar situations that don't know why their parents are divorced right now and how God is working in their life. But what I've learned is that by having that suppressed identity, I also had a lot of opportunities, either based from my talent or nepotism that came from my father being at one point a household name in the automotive industry. And when you're able to look as a 19-year-old as a manager in multiple dealerships throughout the Rocky Mountain region of the United States of America, and God bless all of you car dealers who are probably still going through my paperwork, handling it to this day from that time. But, I got to see so many talented people on the sales floor really striving for my management job that I was filling in for a lot because my as a finance specialist in the car business is a Reader's Digest version and how this formed my identity with my that I got caged in for a while and how I broke out to understand this job, basically what's happening is a manager is being let go that acts as a bank at a car dealership.
Mhm.
And they need a replacement that acts as a bank to a degree for a finite amount of time. A lot like the Oakland Raiders every year with the bridge quarterback situation. I'm Geno Smith. So I come in and I do that job to the best of my ability and then I leave. And what I started to realize over time was there were a lot of people who were very talented on the sales floor that should have had this position instead of me, that weren't being brought up into the management position because they weren't having a conversation with their manager saying, I'm willing to pay for half of my training. I'm willing to go away for 2 weeks from my family to go get trained on how to be a manager. And I'm willing to stay after work and do the closet work for these finance managers and these sales managers and just show that I will do anything to become a manager. And usually that process is a couple of weeks before the owner goes, give that guy a shot.
Right.
And that was something that I really got to realize. And then for the people that may have been told no numerous times, I finally saw them get fed up around 35 to 40 years old. And then they left. And then they started something on their own. And you talk about that sacrifice and everything when you start a business. That's what comes along with starting a business. I lived a blessed life. My dad sold a company to a very big company. The players for that company play inside of a stadium, and it's $1 billion sort of deal. And dad did great. That doesn't mean that he needed to make his son rich. And I know what it is to start a company from nothing, sacrifice everything, and do it for businesses while it wasn't my business, working for other companies doing it. And what I have learned from that is number one, don't tell your client that you're sacrificing everything, because quite frankly,
They
that's
don't.
not their
Okay.
job to feel sorry for you. Number two, if you build it, jump and the net will appear. If you build it, they will come. But God will tell you during that perseverance and during those trials by supplying your every need that this is meant for you. So what I needed to do was to get to a point in my life where I was so frustrated with how everything was going that I didn't like myself. And I went, I got everybody says that I have this glass door. You know, I'm just not that talented. Like I'm on the cusp of being a franchise quarterback, but it's just I'm not there. I'm like a David Carr, and so I'm like, you know what? No, I just watched Geno Smith go from sitting for 8 years into the Pro Bowl, and so no, these things happen all the time. And I think that's where athletics is very important, whether it's Japanese horse racing, Brandon, or football. I think that you should have some sports in your life, but where I got my identity was breaking through that and finally getting so frustrated and just going, look, I believe that I'm the best income development guy in the world, not the United States, because everything that I've been through, I need to be the best one in the world. And I let God take a hold of that journey for me. And he's put me in front of brilliant people like Mark Phillips, Tony Trusov, Ian Fee, and a lot of other really Eric Maya Ducky, Tom Burke. And it's really, really made my life and my intelligence that much better. And when I started this journey in 2017, I felt like I had lost all my friends and my family. And God promised me verbally on a chair in my living room in my apartment. He said, I will give you twice as many friends. I will give you a better group of friends. And I didn't know how that would happen. But now my group has become very small. When you start a company, you'll learn very quick how many friends you have. The credit card not working at dinner at times happens, and you're not supplying the barbecues anymore. But God's given me the greatest group of friends I've ever had. He's given me the greatest group of men I've ever been around, and he's given me Joel Martin and Ben Leonard. And guys, that's what I want and need in this life. So that's what I would say is if you're in that boiling point, let it boil. Talk to God. There's nothing that he can't handle, man. And then go persevere for that dream that you're thinking of, because God will supply it. I don't care what situation you're in. When I started my company, I got fired by a guy who doesn't know what he's doing 2 days before Thanksgiving. Like,
Wow.
so, and I started the company because that's what God put on me. And I'm very happy to this day that I've had that identity shift and put God first, great things will happen.
Amen.
So Nick, you are your wisdom, and I think a lot of this comes from your ministry and you're speaking to, I think, inmates with just your natural flow of that, but so much richness and goodness from a lot of your responses, but that one, I mean, your sports references kill me. I had to wipe my eyes. I'm laughing. I'm like, I'm not trying to like be outwardly laughing, but I'm crying. You're killing me with the references. Um, to go to limiting beliefs for sabotaging growth, it sounds like you mowed down some of your cornfield and built your field of dreams, and he did come. So I'm gonna reference that you took away. I don't know whether to go to like 10 cup with that as far as the sports references or whatever, but when you win your Academy Award, you have your speech taken care of. And I say it all in just the most complimentary way. The fact that you have those names of people that helped you, supported you, those true ride or dies, the whose car are we taking, if you will, people in your life. And if you know that reference. I didn't. I love it now, but whose car are we taking? No questions asked. Let's go. Um, just so much richness from that content, man. You've lived a very, very full life. Again, this is all new to me. I enjoy listening to you. So you mowed down your cornfield, you built it, he came. Let's play some ball, shoeless. Mark, I don't even know if we had your input on that. If we turned it to Nick, that
I
was
don't know that you
so.
need it. I did get an idea that I
I
did get
mean,
a I, yeah,
mic drop
mic
on
drop.
that. That was
I did get
that
an
was awesome.
idea as you're planning these future podcasts. Maybe it might not even be a regular one. We might do a special one. We ought to do one on entrepreneurship because one thing every man needs is an outlet, is a second stream of income, a third stream, a fourth stream. But if nothing else, it's a great mental outlet to work on something that you own. I don't care who you are or what job you have. That's not your identity. And you can change that so much by just venturing out into business the way Nick's done, the way we've done with this. And even if it makes you $100 a week, that'll be the best $100 you've ever made, you know. So that's what I got from Nick's thing is that, man, everybody needs to be doing something extra.
And what you said on that $100. So, Nick, you referenced your upbringing and your father's success, and some detail. Again, I don't know the details, but you've referenced that. It sounds like you stepped on your own and you wanted to forge your own identity. And I will tell you, somebody who came from a comfortable background. I was an only child, so had a little bit left to me. Um, money is sweet, success is sweet, but when you earn it, it tastes different. The flavors are richer. When you I'm not a hunter, but when you put that 10-point buck on the wall that you got, and again, I'm not a hunter, but when you got that, when you obtained that success, when you sacrificed, when you had the card to decline at dinner, to put yourself out there again, so much. I'm gonna watch this back myself and take notes from your contribution there. But it just the colors are richer, the flavors are more vibrant. It is different. And let's do entrepreneurship next week. Again, this is not a structured thing. It's us. I need bullet points to give me something to talk about. But let's do entrepreneurship next week, and that's a great tie-in. So
Cool.
very cool, very cool. The difference between who you are and who you become. I don't know that we need to expand on that. I think we've done that, but anything you guys want to add on that bullet point since I have it?
I don't know that I mean that's the fun part, you know. One of my favorite motivational speakers, authors is Jim Rome. And he said it's if you work more on yourself than you do on your job, you'll become, wildly successful. And it's not what you get out of that job or that adventure, it's who you become. And that's why God puts those roadblocks in our life. That's why we get the struggles. That's why Nick's reference the card not working. I mean, those all happen for a reason. There's nothing not connected somehow in all the cosmoses um, to make us better. And how we accept and handle that defines who we are.
And it does tie together. And again, that's one of the things that I'm just as far as being a participant in this, but also an observer. It does tie together. It's they sing like singular objectives or topics, but they're not. They all tie together. That just the relation. So as far as all tying together, and the butterfly flaps its wings halfway across the country or across the globe, and a tree falls here. Everything is tied together. Again, we don't know that path. We don't always know what that roadmap is. We've talked about the destination and the journey, which is what you referenced there. So all cool stuff. Breaking free from labels, failures, and past mistakes. Again, it ties in, but I think a very, very important separate topic. Nick.
Yeah, I have a doctorate in this. Uh, Look, once there is a Bible verse that Al Wolf is much better at it. He's my Bible study teacher. He's better explaining than me, but it's in Corinthians, and it's once you are a new creation in Christ, the past doesn't matter essentially. And that was something that was very hard for me to understand. I have quite the reputation anywhere I live, Albuquerque, Denver, Orange County, and now here in Illinois. Never had a hard time becoming popular. It seems like at the beginning I do, and to anybody that watches my journey, there's a lot of slip ups and falling on your face. So for anybody laughing at me, trust me, I've gotten it. So, um, but when you're trying to break that old identity and you're trying to break that off, I get a lot of opportunities to talk with a lot of people putting their lives back together. And for me, I took some profound advice from some friends in Alcoholics Anonymous that I have, and that program has really saved a lot of my friends' lives. So for anybody that's having questions about that, I'm not the greatest example of Alcoholics Anonymous on the face of the planet. However, I've watched it save numerous of my friends' lives. The program, because of its faith-based introduction to myself and my life, has helped me tremendously in the life that I live today. And I would just encourage anybody that's in a spot where they might not want to pursue that, give it a look, give it an honest look. So, something that came along with breaking my identity and that advice that I got from a good friend in AA was, and I'll respect his anonymity, but I was find somebody that you want to be like and start from there. And my somebody I wanted to be like was Dale Hicks. And Dale Hicks is a car dealer who went through the minority car dealer program. His education was based around being a business guy and in the car business. And I had the opportunity to learn from him as a finance manager, as he was my director at Ocean Honda in San Juan Capistrano, California. And Dale and I had a conversation after I had a 90-day marriage to somebody that's not worth bringing up. And I was resentful over the world. And Dale, I started talking to him about general management and ownership opportunities of dealerships. And Dale was talking about something outside of Biloxi, Mississippi. And I said, well, who wants to go to Biloxi, Mississippi? And Dale looked at me and he said, I want to be a car dealer. So, um, more than I want, the geography of where I'm going to live, Nick. And if you're going to pursue opportunities in this business and in income development in general, you're going to have to move around. It's not likely going to be here where a 4-bedroom house is $1 million. That was in 2010. So, or 12. So, I really started to admire Dale and my good friend Joel Martin, and I started going, okay, how much work is it going to take in order for me to get there? And I interpreted a lot of my background to going and getting rehabilitation and going to one of those programs. And that's where I learned one of the most valuable lessons I've ever learned in my life. And if you want to change your old identity, you need to go make an investment in yourself. And you need to invest in other people who you want to be like and ask for their help and ask for other people's guidance. Because one of my favorite sayings about life is that we were put here in order to help everybody get through it. And, right now I can't just write a check for everybody in my life. I wish I could, but I can certainly give a lot of advice. And when it comes to breaking that old identity, it's forming that new identity and living your life every single day in the identity that you've dreamed of and allowing time to take place. So as you forge, even faking it till you make it, so you can forge that new identity and everybody will take notice and friends will drop off, family will drop off. These are natural progressions to being the person that you want to be. And you have to be willing to make that sacrifice. I've been so lonely in my life and appeared on the outside as an executive with a really nice suit and cool watch and dad that had it all and everything that you had, a fleet of cars and that made you better looking as well as driving them. And I know I didn't earn every date that I got. So but in reality, what I needed was to get out to Chicago and go to a tough town where everybody's got a tough stepmom in Chicago. Everybody's got a tough guy. I lived on my cousin's floor for 6 months story in Chicago. So when you can get to that environment, and then the automatic thing is just by changing geography, for me, people went, that guy's tough. You can't say he lives outside of Chicago. Anybody moving to Chicago right now? So it's exactly. So forge your new identity, and it doesn't start from being on the couch. It starts, every time that I don't have enough gas in the car to go to boxing, you got a gym at home. Every time I can't go to a dealer meeting in South Carolina, as I'm here in Chicago, I work even harder on my marketing from home. And, these are the things that God has given me. So use what you've got and make the most of it.
Well said.
I was like, Mark, I'm gonna let you take over. I mean, I can't, I can't follow. I'm
Well,
not
I think
following.
he said before we started, somebody had told him to be less loquacious. I don't think Nick's capable of that, but there's a lot of gold nuggets in there. So I'm not going to add to it either, but just say thanks for sharing.
No doubt. Again, I've said it before, Nick. I love hearing your stories. They've been awesome. But bro, this week, I'm going to watch this back at least a couple times myself. The nuggets you're dropping, your relatability, the Biloxi's and the names and all this stuff, and again, that just tells you the impression that people made in your life, and then how you let them make that impression, how you allowed them to help you forge the man that you wanted to become and did become. A lot of gold nuggets. There's some more content, but I think we're approaching an hour at this point, so I'm going to kind of wrap it up. Um, you guys want to do a weekly challenge?
It
Cool. I'll
depends
put
on
it
what
in
you
the
mean.
text, but let's do the weekly challenge, couple points, and again, I'll put it in the text. So write down the man you want to become. It can be as broad, as general, as whatever it is you want. This is your plan. And again, for those of you that are watching, we see the views on there. Again, please do subscribe. We are trying to grow this. If you think the content is valuable, if you subscribe, that'll help other people see it as well. We'd love for you to subscribe it, like it. Please comment. We do respond to every comment with a like if it's a general comment, or an interaction if it's a comment that wants or deserves interaction. We are here for you. Um, so write down the man you want to become. Identify three limiting beliefs holding you back. Replace each belief with a new empowering truth. And that is tying to all this stuff. So it's don't limit your beliefs. It's transitioning from the man you are, between who you are and who you want to become, breaking free from the labels, pushing it, getting out of your comfort zone, all the lessons we've tied together. So replace each belief with a new empowering truth. Take one action every day that aligns with your future identity. So obviously the workflow on this is going to write down the man you want to become in the next day or two, so you can have a few days to practice the other actions, and then share your commitment with an accountability partner. So one of the things we're doing in our Forged Men 90-day program, in the cohort, you'll have individual accountability partners. So the cohort, the group, is the accountability partnership, which will ultimately help you learn to create and hold yourself accountable down the line. But behaviors and habits take time, whether it be 6 weeks or whatever. So to create that, have an accountability partner. So have an accountability partner and choose somebody if you're available that will actually hold you accountable. So again, Mark and I were talking off channel before, not a friend, not a spouse, not a brother, unless that person will have that tough conversation with you. Um, Somebody who will truly hold you accountable. Again, we we're here to help men forge the uncertainties of what the male role is now. All the mixed gender, emotional, physical, all that. It's to help forge that. And it's being a true to yourself though. It's not an oh honey, it'll be okay. It's okay, but let's get it to make it okay. It's accountability. It's getting to that. It's not a bless your heart, puppy dogs and all that. It is accountability. So get an accountability partner that will truly hold you accountable. So anyway, I'll put that in the chat or the notes as far as what the challenge is. But if you do that, please post it. Please share it. Please send us a message personally if you don't want to be public with it. We will not put you out there if you don't want to. If you just want to share it and have us as your accountability partners, send us just a message on it. So again, please subscribe, please like. That's my soapbox, gentlemen. Anything to put in conclusion of this week's topics?
I don't. A lot of good stuff. Everybody have a great week and just keep stepping forward. Nick?
Cool.
Uh, to all of you misjudged trust fund babies out there, I get you. I love you. Have a great week.
Tough life, tough life. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. Thanks for watching as well.